Right, I'm hitting start streaming now on the premise that we are going live, and I need to sort my orientation out on the screen. Good morning, I'm Matt, and welcome to this morning's RC Coffee Chat. And we're going to be having a chat about jugs later this morning. Happy days. Right, so with that said, let's move in today's topics for today's RC Coffee Chat. Thank you for letting me know the audio is good. You can see the live chat going down the right-hand side of your screen. So topic number one is going to be Project Fluttergate. We're going to have a quick update on that one. Big update as far as the moisture content inspection device, because I was genuinely really impressed about that on the weekend, and you'll find out what that is in a moment. McFuckery is back by request of Andy, and if you've seen the trailer, you know what we're talking about on that one. 50 amp quad ESC, and that's not actually what I've written in there. I've already said that one once this morning. Let's try and keep this family friendly as possible, but we will be taking a look at that in just a moment. There's a sale on Hobbyking this morning. We will be talking about jugs as well. So if this is your first time here for an RC Coffee Chat, we just generally have a chit-chat and a cuppa. It is 0603 here in the United Kingdom of, you might be able to hear it, liquid sunshineness out there, because it really is chucking it down out there this morning. And you're catching us on the back end of a May bank holiday here in the UK. So we've had 2 days of flying back to back, and it's been absolutely fantastic. There were some laughs, there was some carnage, there were some collections, and there were some unscheduled landings as well, most of which were caught on camera, except for Andy's, which managed to rip off the top of his bushfire's lid and then put a propeller for it. But yeah, we didn't get that one on film, only the mess afterwards. Right, let's get into topic number one, Project Fluttergate. So, one hand, apologies, but on the other hand, no apologies. Like I said, it was a flying weekend this weekend. So this is as far as I've got with Project Fluttergate. So if you don't know about this one, there's a video a couple of days back. What we're building is a 100 miles an hour chuck glider. So these were come out in Lidl in the United Kingdom. They were on the shelves for $7.99. A year ago they came out, and they've come out a year again later. And as of Project Fluttergate, we will be trying to get this model to do 100 miles an hour. There was a bit of discussion yesterday with Craig about saying that because it's a real Clark Y-wing where it's got a flat bottom and not very much, it's always one I left, but to be honest, I'm just going to put a big motor on the front, and we will drag it through the sky up to 100 miles an hour. We do have a speed camera to check it, but this won't get now done until we do the FunnyFarm, which will be in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, I didn't have the time to do it this weekend, so that's as far as I've got. As you'll see, she's not very far away. I may get a sneaky test flight in beforehand, so before we do the proper official speed runs. But I think it's kind of fitting that we can see if we can get a $7.99 chuck glider to do 100 miles an hour. And we will see if it flutters or not. So I have put a little bit of carbon in the wing, not a lot, just one spar as composed to 5. Yeah, and a little bit in the tail as well. So that's the progress on there. Of course, we are using the top class Tower Pro MG90S probably fake servos. But the thing is, they're really good, so I'm going to carry on using them. So that's Project Fluttergate. She is working out kind of well. Now, we're all here having a good old chit-chat this morning. That's why it was like a bit of a panic this morning, getting ourselves going live. You need a real burly chuck to get that flying. Zenith, you're absolutely right. One of my biggest and my only concern about this model is throwing it hard enough at the launch, because there's no wings in there, and it's gonna be quite a speedy motor. So torque roll is a serious enemy to this model, and I will give it a proper javelin throw and maybe a little run, hop, and a skip as well. So yeah, that's a serious practical point on that one, is that it will need one hell of a chuck to get it in the sky. Right, moving on. Oh, I need to get this one on here. Yeah, right, so let me put my screen up a moment. There we go. So many of you will remember this from last week. And if you don't know what we're talking about, let me just press play on this video and you'll have a look, because I think this is just such a fantastic idea. So, can you see that? So that is absolutely fantastic. So that's one of Andrew Bolton's creations. That's a step on from the original pan and tilt mechanism, which was just here. I got the pieces here on my desk. And again, drop that bit, excuse me. Right. So many of you will recognise the dome piece which we've had before. Actually, there's been a minor update for that, and that's not going to work out on the camera very well. Find something to poke with. This centre section and this main bar at the back that's not coming out very well, is it? I mean, put my hand in the way. There we go. It might focus one day. Is this centre section is much thicker. It's about twice as thick. So that was a big update because I know that on turbine I snapped the middle pegs. And the idea is that you add these extra little arms on the front and you put a piece of plastic in the front. So that when you do go through mist, for example, so this weekend was very misty. The cloud layer was apparently very thick, maybe 300 meters thick, maybe a little bit more. And then on the Monday, it was just really, really foggy. And to have this little layer of plastic in front of the actual camera itself worked out brilliantly well. So I will be upgrading both my own mini Talon here this week, and I'll also be putting the same on the XUAV clouds as well, because you've put a physical layer in there. And even when you come into land on wet grass, you can put the little sheet up, the little visor up in front of you, and then it just cuts all the water out, so it keeps your FPV camera wet, keeps your FPV camera dry. It does work out really, really, really well. So yeah, look out for that one very, very shortly indeed. Right, what was the next topic which we had? Right. McFuckery is back. McFuckery really is back. If you've not seen any of the RC Funny Farm intro videos just yet, what I've been and done for you is underneath this video in the video description, there's like 5 videos in there. There are more trailers to be added over this week as I'm editing up the episodes. So what you've seen so far is what I quickly picked out and edited up to do quick trailers for a Funny Farm episode. But do expect the full episode perhaps at the later end of this week. Again, it will be a longer episode. The Funny Farm episodes they're like half an hour long. Sorry, they're an hour long, something like that, to go with them. And they are just generally full of banter and mucking around. But in the meantime, there are a collection of trailers out. One thing which it just really did make me laugh, I didn't get the right one, was the passion which we had in the Facebook group. Let me just put my screen over here a moment. Is that I posted this top picture, and you'll see, you may already know the context for this one, is that I posted that video in the Facebook group, and the passion and the rage which appeared in there was absolutely fantastic, because we've all had it. We've gone to a car park before, and some special person has been in parks right up close, so you have to get through the passenger side. And somebody did that to my car, the Skoda parked right next to mine in there. Yeah, the passion, the comments, and the enthusiasm for Skoda drivers was very, very good. And I must admit that we all did, well, I know I did, I laughed a lot, and then I showed Andy afterwards the conversations which were going on in the Facebook group. So then there was payback. There was 2 Skoda drivers picking on the BMW driver, yeah, whatever for that. So yeah, just be aware. we were just taking the piss as far as that goes, as you would expect it being at the Funny Farm. Now, if you didn't see this just yet, there's Austin's twin. So he's got Austin's taken the mini Talon twin motor idea to a whole new level. What he's been done is got a mini Talon with 2 EDFs on the sides. And if you've not seen the intro video to that one, again, in the video description, there's a link to it. It's one of the 5 which is down there. Go and take a look. It's absolutely hilarious and equally scary at the same time as well. One video which I did want to get in here and share with you is this one. So I'm going to be quiet a moment while I take a quick sip of coffee. This is an RC coffee chat after all. And this will give you an idea of the McFuckery which went on this weekend. Now, what you didn't notice there is that Andy was kind of missing, or had some special white tape on the side of his Pixlr, because the Pixlr was Operation Flying Target for the rest of us, and it did receive 1 or 2 polite knocks, and Matt definitely did not take off the entire wingtip of the Pixlr at all. We'll find out about that one later. Right, just keeping an eye on the chat as well. No, I haven't covered those because I don't know what they are, in short. That's all right, I've just seen the chat. You can see the chat which is going on above my head. Moving on, next topic was that this is actually a thumbs up to the quad guys, actually. Is that we were kind of expecting this one. It's just taken much longer than what I personally expected. So as you may know or may not realise, is that a lot of the progression to do with fixed wing models is in FPV kit and so on and so forth, really has been down to the interest and the evolution of multi-rotors. So as much as I probably don't really like multi-rotors to any great degree, and I know many of you not really big fans of multi-rotors, but on the flip side, there's lots of other people out there which really enjoy multi-rotors. Now that's actually a big bonus for us, because one of the biggest things which has actually happened, and I only literally just spotted this morning, and I've got a pair of these on the way to me this morning, is that Raystar 52 amp ESCs for $21, give or take a cent, you know. And I've watched that guy's video. In fact, you should probably take a watch of that guy's video, because he does a really good summary at the end to why the noise is probably so low on them. Is because they're using higher timings, and that's how they can get that's basically it. Watch the video, you make more sense. But this actual device is not really that much bigger than it's we'll say about twice the size of a normal quad ESC and rated for 52 amps. So as a fixed wing pilot, I am kind of thinking, well, 52 amps for $21, well, that's cheaper than a normal plain ESC, you know, the ones with the heat sinks on the back, which is normally what we would use, especially if we were sticking it inside of a model. But for a model where we want high current, for example, like this one, high current usage, and we know that we can put it in a high airflow place, where quad ESCs are normally placed. They're normally always in a high airflow position. Hence why they can get away with no heat sinks, and again, higher timers and things like that make them become more efficient, so they're creating less heat. Anyway, something like this, I could potentially get away with an ESC like that on the top, or another model where I could perhaps top mount it, like the spec wing, for example. It would be of a no-brainer to do it. Now, the curiosity is what you can't see here very well, which you can see here, is that you've got your normal wires in there as normal, but no, it doesn't have a back. Now, remember, it's a quad ESC. But this extra cable here is for telemetry back from the ESC, and the ESC's got a current sensor in there as well. So yeah, genuinely surprised on that this morning. And then the further I dug in, they do sell them in 4-packs, and there's also a 42 amp version as well, for slightly cheaper. But to be honest, I would pay the $3 more and have the extra 10 amps. Just kind of makes sense. And then when I started digging, there was another one for $27. We're rated to 50 amps. We're from a Fly Color, which I've not come across. But those of you which know a little bit about quad ESCs, is that typically speaking, the higher the higher rated ESCs have typically been really expensive, like $50 plus. And if you, again, that's bang good prices as well. So they have been stupidly overpriced, and that's why I've never used them myself, is that I've gone to 30 amps with like the Raystar 30 amp ESC, which I'm using on the spec wing, and it's worked out brilliantly, even on 4S, completely overrated, it's completely unrated, and it's been absolutely fine. And they do work well. That's one of my big nice things for me to be able to say, is that now over a period of time, is that quad ESCs have actually really progressed on, and they're not burning themselves out as frequently as what I personally had before. They have progressed on. Now, for them to go up to 52 amps or 50 amps and be cheaper than a normal plain ESC, that's got to be of interest. So I have put links to those in the video description. They are affiliate links, so if you're interested in one of those, you can go and grab one. if you use one of the links on below, that you will be supporting the channel. Now, I have just seen there's quite a bit of chat on there, so I'm actually just going to pause so you can already see the chat down there, and I can't read it on that screen up there, so just give me a moment. Yeah, so Zenith has put there, Castle Phoenix Edge 50 would cost me 5 times that. Absolutely. It's big thumbs up to the multi-rotor guys, you know? As much as we moan from time to time, they really have pushed on the hobby forward by a country mile on there for it. I'm not going to disagree with that one. I recognise Drone Mesh, not for a good reason, but I did actually very much enjoy his video, which was on there. So it is worth a watch just for the summary to maybe understand why those ESCs are of such low noise, because they're just basically increasing the speed. There was a really good summary in there. It's worth watching that video just for that. Let's have a quick looks. Falling with Style says, must say I'm thinking of using quad ESCs for the S11. So that was the Harrier S1100. I used quad ESCs in mine. That's why I used in mine. I genuinely did. They're just mounted up underneath and just stuffed in there, and I gave it no disregard. That's why you'll see me joking if you go back and watch the Harrier S1100 maiden. Because like, well, the motors are fine, but I couldn't check the ESCs. Well, my reaction was, well, they're not on fire. They can't be that bad. And the reason why I was actually being kind of serious, because they were quad ESCs, and as we know with quad ESCs is that they're either on fire or they're perfectly fine. So they haven't caught fire yet. And as you may have guessed, I've pushed that model really hard. So yeah, £10 each. Yeah, it would be nice if we had big fat heat sinks on there. I'm sure we can get them for things, but yeah, absolute crazy. Yeah, let's have a quick look. There we go. Oh, you've used them with no ventilation and they've been okay as well. Again, you can see the chat which is going along there. Let's have a quick look. Mark says, actually, faffing around with sorry, I'm actually in the reverse camp to you. Faffing around with BH Heli is a pain in the ass, because that means you need to then connect it up to a flight controller board to be able to change the settings of the ESC. And of course, if you're putting it in a model without a flight controller board, then that is classed as a pain in the ass. So it's a bit of a catch-22 on that one. But you're right, it is quite easy to tweak stuff in BH Heli if you have a flight controller ready available on your desk and you can power it up quite easily. That aside, quad and normal model plain ESCs are pretty, they all kind of follow the same kind of format. First menu in is the brake, and that is it for most of them. So yeah, horses for courses on that one. Right, I just wanted to point that one out. Let me go back to that. It was nuts. That's why I'm making a point of it this morning. 52 amps for $21. Those of you which are fixed wing pilots, you'll be thinking, what the? And that was my reaction this morning. Somebody posted that in the Facebook group, and I was genuinely surprised by how well it had come down in price. So happy days. And it wasn't just one. There was a slightly cheaper one at 42 amps, and there was another brand in there as well at 50 amps. Kind of a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. $20. You're normally playing, what, 40 quid? Something like that for something similar from a Turnigy one. Something like that. Yeah, nuts. Right, I have not done Shout Out Corner yet this morning, so I'm going to use this as an excuse to take a slurp. Right, a very good morning, and there was quite a bit of banter going on here this morning. Oh, we will chat about these mugs in a moment too, as that one's just leaked down my hand. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, Zenith. By the way, if you are on the live version, you can shout howdy in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. A little note, those of you which are using an iPad, is that the live chat is hiding in the bottom right-hand corner. You've got to click, sorry, it's that corner. You've got to click on the little bar, and then it pops up, and then you get your chat. Really confusing. I don't know why they do that. Anyway, moving on. Good morning, Jeff, as well. Good morning, Anna L. Good morning, Elijah. Scrolling down, Jake, good morning. Zippler, good morning as well. Phil, good morning. Mr. D, good morning too. I know Julian popped in but had to run to work, so Julian, good evening for when you get back and watch this one. Good morning, Andy, as well. Good morning, Falling with Style. To Zenith, Akoy, good morning too. Volantrix Flying Group, good morning. Just spotted you in there in the chat too. And again, if I do miss your name, don't take it personally. I've just skipped past you. Anyway, RC Chevy Man, good morning as well. Roddy, good morning. Stu, good morning too. Scrolling down, Judy, we've mentioned Drone and Sundry. Jonathan, good morning as well. Mark, good morning. And Alps Sven Green, good morning too. And Bradley, good morning as well. Right, time for us to move on. Next topic was Hobbyking sale. I've only literally just noticed this morning. We need to go back to the full screen. Not the full screen. No, I had it right the first time. I'll stop pressing buttons. Flash sale on Hobbyking. Literally noticed it this morning. That is as much as I know. There's a fat Turnigy batch graphene pack in there and a couple of other bits and bobs. I only literally just spotted that this morning. They may be adding other items over the next day or so, so keep an eye out for that. Yeah, literally 5 o'clock this morning, noticed the site had been switched-ish for it. So keep an eye out for that one. Right, on to the next topic, which is that I'm sure many of you will remember from a video this week about the Focke-Wulf. So I want to just put this into context, is that I've had a collection of models here for a very long period of time. I bought them, say, 18 months ago, only after I really just got started with fixed wing flying. After I bought a load of models, I think it was about 500 quid, and I had an absolute ton of different models. Many did not last. However, 2 of them were very pretty. One of them was being a Focke-Wulf, which we saw this week. We were having a chit-chat over at the workbench. And just be aware, I have tried selling that model 3 times, and there's been literally no interest in it at all. And you saw how thick the dust on that top of that model was. So anyway, it went out and she got flown this weekend. I'd like to report that she flies back and she is extremely peachy in the sky. The landing gear is completely pointless. It's only really good for tarmac, so no good for the FunnyFarm at all. However, on the flip side, many of you will also remember the P-39. And after a little bit of drama on the flight line, especially with the launch, the takeoff was seat of your pants kind of stuff. But we got it flying in the end, got it all trimmed in, and happy days. And it was actually very enjoyable, although the landing gear did fail. And anyway, I took it up for a second flight, and I must admit, I was really enjoying it and had so much fun. However, Matty was perhaps enjoying it too much and perhaps got maybe a little bit cocky with it, and I was knife edging it, trying to get his tail to go across the ground, and then I was just flying too slowly with not enough power, and she flipped over and bit me and went straight in the ground. So I have good news, the Focke-Wulf is perfectly fine. The Cobra comes with spare parts. There's a nose, and look at the bloody size of the ESC on that. It's a 70 amp ESC. And the fuselage is kind of here, so Matt's got to do a bit of gluing this week at some point. Yeah. Now you may be wondering, why did you snap it in half? Well, I was flying like a plonker, to be honest. The other thing is that what they've done because they had and it's just like a heads up for you. If you ever see an RC model which has got a front wheel, which comes down, it's just be aware is that that nose section is then highly compromised. I've hit in models way harder than that, also made out of EPE O foam, and they've not snapped in half. So yeah, just go careful. Look at a construction of the model. It was a premium model. This was not a cheap model by any stretch of the imagination, but the compromise, if you have a look, whoops, if you have a look there where it snaps, there's no big surprise. It snapped where it did because there's just a great big hole in there, and there's 2 very thin pieces of foam in there. So yes, you may have noticed the landing gear has been removed. It is my entire intention to repair this one, because Yeah, to be honest, if it hadn't flown so good, I would have just pulled all its parts out and used and then thrown the model away. But I have to admit that the P-39 flew absolutely brilliantly well. It was super quiet, and when you ram that stick up to the top, you just see it go whoom, like hit warp speed and go off. So it was one of the quietest and also one of the fastest models which I've got as well. It was really, genuinely really nice to fly. And as such, that one's going to get prepared and get repaired. I'll put plywood supports in that nose section, nice big thick plywood as well, so it won't bend. And then I'll pack it out with some foam from older models in there as well, and we'll make her a belly lander. And also, I did break the quad propeller on the end, which was a bit of a shame, but no surprise. So I'll be going for a twin blade, just a normal 2-blade propeller on there. So yeah, frankly, I was really disappointed. There were a lot of swear words spoken, and a lot of it was not polite. And the reason for that is because I was really enjoying it, and such a shame. But so yeah, that was the Rock Hobby Cobra 39. We will do a mini review on that one shortly, because it ain't worth the money for that model, because the landing gear just broke into, it's just made of Swiss cheese. In short, it's a bit of a joke. It wouldn't even be any good for tarmac landings, because it would just break, because it broke on takeoff. And then when you look out, the cheese which it made, what they made it out of, was just shocking to say the least. Right, and that brings us to the last topic of the chat, and apologies if I've not seen your chat. Just picked out one comment in there. As you've seen, there's been a live chat which has been going down the right-hand side of the screen. And by the way, I will go back and watch this myself, so if I've missed your comment, I do apologise. And do remember, if you have any questions or comments about anything which we've covered here today, you can either ask in the comments section underneath this video, or there's a link to the FaceBalls group down in the video description too. Right. That brings us on to a topic which we were talking about before we went live with Lauren and some of the other people which were there chatting away. And it was about these jugs, okay? Let me go and put this up on the screen, and there we go. So they are the Camelback Forge vacuum insulated travel mug. And the reason why this came up is because I was mentioning is that I'm not going to get myself another cup of coffee because I've already got one here. We are now at 06:29, and I made this coffee at 04:45, and that is still too hot, borderline too hot to drink. And the reason being is that the thermos flasks, these are just crazy good. How did I get onto these? Dave, as many of you know, Fairweather Dave, we fly with on a Friday, is that he had one of those, and he was drinking his coffee in the afternoon. So we were out early in the morning, and he was still sat there drinking hot coffee in the afternoon. I was like, well, what is this? How much was it? And I coughed when he told me it was 25 quid. And how much are they on there now? I'm going to have a quick look. I went for the red one because obviously it's faster. Yeah, on Amazon right now it's £26.48, which is stupid money for one of these. And if I'd not seen Dave drinking his later that day, then I wouldn't have bought one. I would have just passed that right over immediately because it just would have been stupidly expensive. Now that I've been and owned one, yeah, I can be at the Funny Farm for say 6 o'clock in the morning, and even at midday, I'm still drinking hot coffee. Really, really good. And I can, well, on one hand, I think it's fantastic. If you've never tried one, try one. And remember, if you buy it from Amazon and stuff, it's pretty no-nonsense returns anyway. But yeah, it is a premium product, but it works brilliantly well, and it will keep your hot coffee hot all day long. Actually, and a little point which I think I was trying to make in the chat this morning is that I've drunk 2/3 less coffee because of that. So instead of me having a mug here, and you know what it is, and you've got a mug and you've got a cuppa in it, and then you end up having to neck it all because it's gone lukewarm, or you just waste half a cup of coffee. That one cup of coffee will last me hours, and my caffeine intake has been a lot less, literally 2/3 less. I'm drinking like 1/3 of the coffee which I was drinking before. So yeah, those Camelback flasks, whatever they're called, vacuum insulated travel mugs, by God they're expensive, but I've probably saved that in coffee already. It's nuts. It's nuts. So have a quick look on there. Phil, the one thing is they're too small. I'd need about 4 to cope. So Phil, this is what we were chatting about this morning. Phil, I kid you not, I was a heavy coffee drinker. It would not be unheard of me to get through at least a dozen, maybe even 18 cups of coffee in a day. Pretty hardcore on there. But if I'm in here from 4 o'clock in the morning till whatever time later, it's not unheard of. It's certainly not unheard of, and I am literally drinking a fraction of what I was before. So for me, it's worked out, and I wasn't kidding when I've probably saved that already. I really have saved that already. Oh, the other thing is as well is that you can take that to Costa or Cafe Nero, for example. I think it's only in Costa actually, and they'll put your coffee in that one, and they'll charge you less as well. And then you can go to the coffee shop, you can work, do whatever you need to, chill, etc., etc. Enjoy the cuppa. In fact, you have to ask them to put cold in, otherwise it's so stupidly hot. And then when you get home, you can then carry on enjoying that premium coffee for much longer in the day. It's great, absolutely great. So anyway, that was like this extra little one which got added in because of the conversation a bit this morning. So jugs, good jug. Right, it is now time for us to wrap up. The topics which we covered this morning. Project Fluttergate, where is she? She will now get fixed up. She'll probably get flown at the end of the week, give or take a day or two. Really looking forward to this one, but we won't be able to do the full speed tests on this one until 2 weeks' time. So we'll need the radar gun for that one, and I really am aiming for 100 miles an hour plus, and to see if we can make it flutter, as the case may be. We spoke about the moisture content inspection device. Yes, remember the little visor on the front of the FPV camera? Absolutely brilliant. I saw Andy using it on the weekend. It worked so well. I'm converting both my Mini Talon and my XUAV clouds across to have those on there because they worked so well. They really did work really, really well. Mick Fuckery is back. I kid you not. There is gonna be a very interesting RC Funny Farm episode number 2 for this year. Will be out about the end of this week. I'm saying about the end of this week because it's going to be about an hour long. It's going to take a couple of hours to render, even on this machine. Yeah, there's quite a bit of editing involved in that one. So that one will be out later this week-ish, in inverted commas. Do note we're on Wednesday, so I've only really got 2 days to finish off the editing, and there's a lot of stuff to get put in there. 2 days of mucking around, and you've kind of already seen some of the fun which we've had. They had even had a bloody gas bottle. Unreal. We spoke about the 50 amp quad ESC. What the? Well done, multi-rotor guys. That's all I'm saying. We've been expecting that one for a long period of time, and definitely thumbs up. I've literally been and bought 2 this morning so I can get them and try them out for myself. I don't really foresee any issues, to be frankly honest. And hey, look, if one catches fire, well then do a photograph and send it off to the nice lady at Banggood and go, well, it broke. We'll see what happens, you know. There is a sale on Hobbyking at the moment. I am just going back to refresh this to see if they've added any more products, which it doesn't look like they have. So if any of those things take you, if any of those things take your interest, go and take a look. You can't miss it. There's a big banner at the top of the Hobbyking website. And then we also spoke about the Focke-Wulf. Remember, the Focke-Wulf is fine. She just needs to find a new home because I don't want it. It's not the model for me. I'm not saying anything more on that one. It's just not a model for me. It's not fast enough for one. But I do appreciate why people like them. And that's all I'm saying. And then we spoke about jugs. We did. We spoke about jugs. And we spoke about my jug specifically as well. They're really good, but God, they're expensive. But on the flip side, they're actually really, really good. So if you've got a spare 26 quid and you drink potentially as much coffee or tea, or at least coffee is what I do, they have become fantastic value. And I do feel a lot better for owning one because I am not drinking stupid amounts of coffee during the day. And later this morning I'll be going off to one of the cafes not far from here, and I'll get them to put the drink in there, and then when I get home I'll still be able to drink it, and I would have got a load of work done at the same time as well. So for me, that's happy days. That's definitely happy days. Right, it's time for me to go. I would like to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time to watch today's live RC coffee chat. If this was your first time here, God help you. This was one of the more tamer episodes, should I say. I'd like to say a big thank you if it is your first time here. Don't forget that if you've enjoyed today's RC Coffee Chat, you can hit the thumbs up underneath this video. If you have any constructive criticisms or any feedback for me, you can do that in one of two places. You can either do that in the comments section underneath this video, or like we mentioned earlier, there is a link to the FaceBalls group in the video description too, where there are 2,600 plus cool pilots like me and you in that group, and there's a lot of banter which goes on there as well. And I would like to say it's one of the nicest Facebook groups that I've ever been in, and I'm not, and now you can say that I'm biased because I was the person which created it, but that group really is what you make of it, and there is a great bunch of people in there. There's some fun in there, and also there's some serious stuff in there, so don't feel if you've got like a daft question, post it in the group. That's what the group's there for. The group is actually ironically there to help me for when I get stuck. So if I get stuck with something, I put the question in the Facebook group, because the reality is that the 2,600 other people which are in the group, they probably know the answer, or somebody can get me on the right line. So yeah, Facebook's group, so another good place. Anyway, with that said, it's time for me to go. If you are out flying today, stick a battery in for me, because we have shed tons of liquid sunshine coming down here at the moment, and unfortunately, that's not the good stuff. Anyway, for myself, Matt, as always, cheerios, bye-byes. Right, where's the stop button? There she is. Right, I'm off. Ta-ras!